It's so obviously not fresh.
Oh, it's
All I
there, you'll
hear-
hear it. You can get Percy Pigs.
Well, I hope you had a good ride to the south of the city. Hope you rest not in.
Hello, welcome, Croeso, Louise from Corner House, all the way from the US.
Hello.
So I am interviewing Louise today as part of Global Music Match and to find out some more amazing things about Corner House.
You bunk in my bed, our dreams seem much sweeter. And that's
Corner
where
House
I'll
has
meet her when
such
she
an
calls
interesting
me.
and beautiful sound.
In the
How would
morning,
you
the phone
describe
trees
your
you
music
took
to
me
someone
to.
that's never heard you before?
It's a hard one. I feel, yeah, Corners, we come from quite different musical backgrounds. Well, I mean, kind of united by a love of fiddle music, I guess, is kind of the theme. But yeah, we all kind of have different musical backgrounds and interests, and kind of brought all of those together in this kind of melting pot. And so, yeah, over the last few years of being a band, it's kind of been a bit of a process to figure out what our sound is, and taking in all of those different influences. So yeah, I mean, like, I grew up in Scotland playing Scottish fiddle music, maybe a little Irish sometimes too, and then I got interested in American old time fiddle music, and that was kind of a meeting point for Ethan Hawkins and Ethan's tio and myself, all having kind of played some old time. And then Casey, when she joined the band, which was a little later, also played a little old time. So I think that was kind of like the first place that we kind of met in the middle, and then from there we started adding in our other influences. So Casey grew up in the contra dance scene in northeast of the US, playing for dances and things, and that kind of involves a lot of Celtic and maybe like French Canadian, and New England fiddle music, of course, as well, and old time, really a mix of influences. And the boys played a lot of bluegrass as well, and so there's that influence too. So yeah, it's kind of a melting pot of all these different styles, and really kind of hard to put Corner House in a box.
To the pavement, our breakfast to bring.
Corner House was formed during your time at Berklee College of Music.
Yeah.
So what drew you to each other's musicianship?
Do you know, I mean, we actually, so it started out just the three of us, Ethan and myself. And it was actually, we were living together as well in this big music house, nicknamed the Brighton House, because it is in Brighton in Boston. And it's a big house on the corner of the street. So there's like two sides to it. Hence the name Corner House. And yeah, we were living together on this one side with, there's about six people on each side, kind of thing, and often folks coming and going, and folks coming and staying for a few days or whatever. It's a real music house, and has been for over a decade now. So we were all living together, and it really was kind of, playing tunes in the kitchen, that kind of thing. I think pretty much the day Ethan Hawkins moved in, I was sat in my room, eating breakfast and playing at the same time. So like the breakfast got pretty cold, porridge got cold before I finished it. But I was learning an old time tune I'd been learning from Bruce Molsky, who teaches at Berklee and is incredible and a big inspiration to us all. And there was like a little tentative knock at the door, and then the door just burst open, and Ethan Hawkins comes running in with his guitar and just joins in. And we played tunes for a while after that, and that was us getting to know each other when he first moved in. So yeah, just it kind of came out of that, and then actually, we the Berklee College of Music, like the American Roots program, which is an amazing section of Berklee. Berklee's such a big college, and I actually did not get a sense of that until I got there and was like, where are all my people? I had such a hard time meeting people to start with because it was so much bigger than I thought. But once I kind of got involved in the Roots program, and meeting people, that was, also a common place where everyone came together and played American Roots music and all the related folk music, basically. But they each year they send a group of musicians to Freshgrass Festival, which is a really brilliant festival that happens in Western Massachusetts. In an old kind of like old industrial building, and out in the courtyard and in the field and stuff, and it's now the Massachusetts Museum of Modern Art, I think, is. So there's all these art galleries and things there too, and then music happening here and there. And they'd send Berkeley students and groups to go in and like, here, you're going to stand in front of this art and play for an hour. And so we got to do that because I really wanted to go, and I was, we'd been playing together in the kitchen sometimes, and I was like, well, can we throw some stuff together and go and play? Will you play with me? And that was really how it started. And then at that point, as a foreign student in the States, you can't go out and play gigs unless they're for the university you're studying at. So we were pretty limited in what we could do. So I invited them to come over to Scotland, booked some gigs in Scotland. And we did a little tour there and had such a fun time. And at the time, actually, Ethan Satiawan was playing some cello. We borrowed a cello, and he was kind of switching back and forth between mandolin and cello, which was his first instrument growing up. And by the time we were on the plane back to the States, we were like, we need a cellist as well. So that was when we called up Casey and said, would you join us? And she actually was just along the road. She was a few blocks away from us. And we'd kind of hung out and played together in group stuff at Berkeley as well. So we were aware that she was a brilliant cello player, and we were delighted when she agreed to, when we asked her to join. So it's kind of how it all began.
Fast as you can, you'd hurt her somehow.
So your recent release, How Beautiful It's Been, is the first full-length record you've ever created. Yeah. How did you begin planning this project?
Well, it was in the works for a while because, of course, COVID threw a spanner in the works, as it did for many people and many projects. We actually had, I guess it was a while before, even I think like autumn before COVID was when we first started getting together and writing for that record. So it'd been in the works for a while. And we would get together. We had a couple of kind of like writing retreats. We had a friend with a place in Vermont that give us a key and told us we could go and use it, which was really wonderful. And we had to go at writing a song all together then. That didn't make it onto the record, but we were just kind of like playing with ideas and things at that point, and each of us kind of coming up with Ethan Hawkins for the most part writes the songs, he writes all the lyrics, and often him and Ethan will get together with a bottle of whiskey some evening and just try out ideas and work on the songs, and then the other three of us write most of the instrumentals, and it's usually kind of like coming with something that we've written and coming as a band together to arrange it and play around with ideas. And this album as well was the first that we'd worked with a producer, which was really special. We got to work with Maeve Gilchrist, who's from Edinburgh originally, and lives in New York State now. She's just killer harp player, Scottish harp, the Clarsach, and just insanely talented and clever musician. And we all had the chance to work with Maeve actually at Berkeley. She sometimes comes in and teaches at Berkeley workshops and things. So we've all worked with her before, and we very much admired her. So it was just really, really wonderful to get to actually work with her. She came and we had a couple of rehearsal sessions where she would just kind of help tease ideas out of us, which was really, really good. She was so good at developing the ideas we had rather than just being like, this is what you should do, sort of thing. So she, and of course had tons of great ideas herself, so that was really cool. And just over the time we were working away on that, that was kind of leading up to spring of 2020 when the pandemic happened. We actually had planned to go to the west coast of Canada to a small island, Maine, Mayne, Maine Island, where we have a friend who also went to Berkeley, Adam Meredith Gray, who's got a studio out there. And so we planned to go out there and record in Adam's studio. We had the flights booked and everything. We're so excited. So of course that didn't happen. We kind of just sort of let that sit for a while. We recorded an EP in the interim. Summer of 2020, we actually managed to get together in Pennsylvania, where Hawkins was living at the time, with some good friends out there on a farm, and recorded it in a little barn, which was really cool.
Oh, wow.
So that was great. So we recorded a little EP in the meantime, and then I guess when did we come back to thinking about our record? I'm kind of confused on timeline here, but yeah, it was like after that sometime that we started working on it again. Oops. And yeah, it was just like interesting to come back to that music, having let it sit for a year or so. And I often wonder how it would have sounded if we'd done it when we originally attended, compared to letting it sit and then coming back to it and playing with those ideas again. So yeah, it was a while before we actually got into the studio with that one, but I guess it was spring of 2021, I think, was when we ended up actually, and we went to a studio called Spillway Sounds in Hudson Valley, New York State, and worked with Eli Cruz there. He's a great engineer, and a very, very fun person to work with, who also added some very special nose flute to one of the tracks, which is really fun. The very first track, he had some nose flute and Mama. Birdie sounds.
Right, okay, I'm definitely, now I'm gonna be listening.
Now you know it's there, you'll hear it. Yeah, it was brilliant. So it was really fun, and we were glad. Sad obviously we didn't get to go to Main Island in the end, but you know, maybe for another record we'll go out there.
I mean, Main Island sounds pretty idyllic, so
yeah, it would be indeed. And they have a festival out there too. Adam runs with some friends, so someday I'm sure we'll make it out and get to make music on Main Island.
So poetry is really important in Corner House's music. I mean, you can just hear that by listening through, you know, all the beautiful lyrics. Would you be able to tell me how poetry is weaved into your songwriting process?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Hawkins, especially being the lyricist, he is really into poetry, and that was actually a nice thing that he and Maeve bonded over while we were recording this. Both, you know, they geeked out about poetry, and Edna St. Vincent Millay, I think, is one of the poets that they talked about a lot. And yeah, and so I think Hawkins, he like writes poetry often and reads a lot of poetry, and one of the things that we did when we did a Kickstarter to finish up our record was we made a Corner House cookbook, because we enjoy cooking together, and it was a cookbook but full of like lyrics from our songs and the melodies from our tunes and things written out and that kind of thing, as well as a couple of poems. So he threw in a couple of his poems in there too. I myself couldn't write a poem to save my life. It's something I'd love to be able to do, honestly. I'd love to be able to write, and anything I have written has not seen the light of the day and probably will not.
I'm sure that Ethan can sit down and do a really good session with you.
Yeah, he can teach me.
So in your music video for Mark's 21st, it looks like you're having such a fun party. Oh, yeah. But what I want to know is, what show of yours has been the most fun?
Oh man. You know, I think we've played a lot of little house concerts and that kind of thing, and I really think we just enjoy so much the smaller, more intimate shows like that, because we really kind of get the chance to get to know people a little bit, and we really like that. I think it really is lovely. And also, you know, you end up, these house concerts, you end up with great friends of these folks that are so generous to host these things. And yeah, we have so many wonderful friends because of that we love to go back and visit. This spring we got to go out to Peaks Island, which is actually part of the city of Portland in Maine. It's this beautiful little island. It takes like 20 minutes, if that, on the ferry to get out there. And yeah, we played a concert series out there with the folks on Peaks Island and had so much fun. I actually went back out again later in the summer with my music, and you know, we got the chance to jump in the freezing cold sea, and that was wonderful. But yeah, I feel like those are the ones that just really stand out to me, is all these sweet house shows with folks that just care so much about presenting music and bringing their community together, and we just have so much fun doing that. Of course, the festivals are great too, and this year we had a really fun time at Ospey Valley Festival, which we got to teach the Roots and Sprouts, the little kids, and it was like every morning for a couple hours, a bunch of kids, various ages with fiddles, just whacking them all, trying to learn how to play fiddles, and it was just, and guitars and ukuleles and all of that. So it was really, really fun to do that. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pick one particular show.
Oh yeah, definitely.
As our album title suggests, it has been a very beautiful journey in the last 5 years of being a band.
So you're playing a series of record release parties in November, which is so exciting. But if you could play any venue or festival in any country, what venue or festival would it be?
Oh boy. I mean, definitely there's like a lot of places we would love to go and play someday. I don't know. I got to play at Tuner Festival in Denmark right before I moved to Berkeley. Actually, I like left the festival. I arrived at the festival with a huge suitcase. They were like, "You moving in?" I'm like, "Well, not here, but I'm technically moving to Boston to go and study music." So
right.
I literally flew right there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. Hungover as heck after a fun weekend. I woke up to the sight of a bottle of chili vodka that one of my friends from Scotland had made and brought to the festival, and somehow it ended up in my care. And that was my last sight of Tuner Festival before I moved to the States.
Showing up to college though, hungover, is probably the only can show up to college, maybe.
Yeah, true, and late as well. I was late for the Freshers Week or whatever. I don't know if they'll call it. It was what it was called, but I was late for orientation, I guess they call it. But yeah, Tuner was such a fun festival, and I would love to do that with this band for sure. I mean, also I want to play my hometown festival. I want this band to play at Orkney Folk Festival and the Shetland Folk Festival, which is another top-notch festival. It's so much fun. Yeah, I know they're big ones, but there's so many great festivals and venues. I think one of our also collective dream venues, so we were talking about this recently, we all want to play the Red Rocks Amphitheater, which is beautiful. And so yeah, one day.
House shows an eagerness to learn from each other within the band, but if you could play any other instrument, what would it be?
Interesting. I mean, I often feel like I want to play all of them, and I picked up a little bit of clawhammer banjo. I wish I was a bit better at that, and I just need to put more time into it, but time is often short. But yeah, I don't know, what would be cool? It would be cool to play like something totally different, like the saxophone is a pretty cool instrument.
Okay,
maybe I'll go for that.
Well, I'm sorry, my pumpkin.
As a fellow artist, I know how the music industry can be frustrating at times. And what I want to know is if you could change any aspect of the music industry, what would it be and why?
I just think it should be more fair for those of us who are actually creating the music. I think it's really hard to get by as a musician, and I get pretty frustrated at the things like the big labels making all the money, and the folks who are out here on the grind day to day are scraping by. And big, this obviously the big debate with Spotify and all the streaming and just the fractions of pennies that you get paid per stream is of course very frustrating. And another thing I think I would love to see, and I think we're moving towards that, and the discussions are happening and stuff. Just like I think more women and people from minority groups being represented in music would be wonderful. There's often that thing of like the headline acts at festivals are often in the folk world and elsewhere, it's all male dominated, and festival directors being but I can't sell blah blah blah, like women act whatever, and they couldn't headline the festival. Well, why not? And I think that needs to come from you know, young girls learning and seeing older women, and they're, you know, being inspired by seeing women on stage and at festivals, headlining festivals, and all that stuff. There's like, I don't know. I think that more equality, and you know, not just women, of course, people from other minorities too, and disabled people, and all of the minority groups that aren't as well represented as male musicians.
Into loving, what a foolish ideal.
As part of Global Music Match, we collaborate with artists and musicians from all over the world. But if you could collaborate with any of your influences / heroes, who would they be?
You're asking me the questions I've got on my list to ask you.
I'm just...
I don't know. That's a really hard one, man. I don't know. That's really hard. There's so many great musicians out in the world that I'd love to collaborate with. I love collaborating. I love playing with other people, and that's why I play music. I don't know. We had like Daryl Langer is one of our heroes, and another person who we've worked with a lot at Berkeley and just love, and so he played on our EP that came out, Caribou Party, that we made as our pandemic EP. That was really cool. I don't know. It's so hard. There's so many great people out there. I want to collaborate with them all. I got to be part of a really great thing. Actually, my first and only time I've ever been to Wales was for this thing, Making Tracks, and I got to collaborate with a bunch of musicians from all over the world playing all different kinds of music, and it was just so fun to learn a little bit and sort of dive into their music and culture, and get to play with, you know, someone who plays the cantala, and someone who plays Comanche, and someone who plays the natiti, and it was just like all these instruments I'd never even heard of before, and it was so fun and rewarding to get to play with these incredible instruments that I wouldn't have even dreamed of, you know, I didn't know they existed. So I don't know, it's too hard of a question, sorry. I can't answer that. All of them. I want to collaborate with them all.
We both left the corner and into the winter.
When recording How Beautiful It's Been, what was your favorite thing to snack on in the studio?
We really like food in this band. We do spend a lot of our rehearsal time actually cooking. So we did eat very well. What did we snack on? We had like we had a lot of good healthy stuff actually, you know, carrots and hummus and that kind of stuff. You know, but also the unhealthy stuff too. Salsa and chips and all that.
Yeah. I think it's always tricky when you're in any rehearsal group to not have something a bit naughty.
Yeah, I mean there was definitely, I mean we had the dark chocolate, so that's definitely a little bit better than just guzzling chocolate, but a million cups of tea and some dark chocolate and just good things. You need to treat yourself when you're working hard.
Well, speaking of treating yourself when you're working hard, so I'm based in London, and I am lucky enough to have lots of little supermarkets nearby that sell lots of different snacks from around the world. And one of the shops nearby is a US confectionery shop, and it has tons of it has loads of Pop-Tarts and cereal and like macaroni cheese boxes and stuff. But when I was asking you about some well-known snacks, you came back to me with the Twinkie.
Yeah.
Now I actually have tried a Twinkie before from an ex-boyfriend bought me one for my birthday. So this is not my first ever Twinkie, but actually I think I might have got so this is called Hostess, but I'm assuming it's the same as
It
a
looks
Twinkie?
like what I tried. My band decided I had to try one because I'd been living in this country for several years and had not. And I was like, I don't really feel that I do. And they were like, you do. And so they made me try one and I did not finish it. I wasn't into it at all.
I haven't had one though since for a good probably like 10 years though. This was like a teenage ex-boyfriend, so
Yeah.
I haven't had it for a while. I mean, it smells really nice actually.
Interesting.
Doesn't, well, I mean, it's cake, isn't it?
Yeah, just full of sugar.
You know what? I actually, and I don't suggest this to anyone, but I skipped lunch today,
Oh.
and this is absolutely delicious.
Yeah, it's just because you're hungry.
I'm just like, wow, wow, that is. It's funny because the cream is like, it's so obviously not fresh.
Oh yeah, full of additives and all that, preservatives and
It
yeah,
tastes like
really good for you.
it tastes like melted down marshmallow.
Oh
A little
yeah.
bit. Mm.
I mean, it was a couple of years ago now they made me try it, and I was really not excited about it. We tried something else disgusting on that trip too, and there was some kind of like crisps that were really Cheetos or something that were some weird flavor that were just terrible. Or maybe it was that we stuck them in a burger bun or something like. I don't remember. I just remember having some terrible food on our tour that time round.
I mean, I'm maybe it's because it's a hostess and not a Twinkie, but I rate that. I mean, I'm not all
Right.
the time, but like I think when you're a bit hungry and you're starting to get a bit sleepy,
Yeah.
it's quite a good snack.
Sugar high.
And the texture is delightful.
Oh, good.
Right, okay.
I recently discovered something where this place called the British Corner Store, where you can order food from home and they'll send it to you here. I am not. This is not a sponsored post, but if they want to sponsor me, then I would take it. It costs a fortune to post it over, of course, but you can get Percy pigs. And it made me very happy to order a huge box of nice tea, and I ordered some. What did I get? I got marshmallows because marshmallows suck in the States. They taste like gritty and sandy. They're terrible. I love marshmallows.
I thought they were like the birthplace of marshmallows.
Oh yeah, they don't do them right.
Not growing for nothing. Our love was
What excites you most for Corner House's future?
Oh man, all of it. I'm so excited to I'm excited to get out there and make more music and meet more people and see more places and play more festivals and gigs and things and to travel. I'm really, really excited to make it back to Scotland with this band for Casey's first time. I hope soon. I personally haven't actually been home for so long since before the pandemic because of pandemic and visa stuff, and it's just been an ongoing farce. So I'm desperate to be able to go back, to know that I can go and start thinking about booking some shows in Scotland and the rest of the UK. Hopefully Wales. We'd love to come to Wales sometime. And yeah, just all of it. We're really excited. We're excited that we've got this new album out this year, and we're already excited to start thinking about the next one as well. And yeah, just excited about all of it.
So thank you so much, Louise from Corner House, for speaking with me today. I had so much fun, and I really enjoyed my second ever Twinkie / hostess. I'm really excited to hear your new music and to see the amazing journey that Corner House is going to go on in the years to come. Goodbye and hurrah!
Thank you so much.
It's so funny that like we wave like this on a Zoom call, because like in real life you just be like, oh yeah, see ya, and then just walk away.